Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel for a brand new video. Today we're going to be having a look at a upcoming Black Series release. This is the Mandalorian Pagodon version, or the Mandalorian from Chapter 1. Whatever you want to call this guy, I'm here to tell you that it is a worthy addition to the Black Series and a much needed update to a now very old figure. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie is right around the corner, folks, and if you ask me, there is no better time to get your Mando hype on than now. So without further ado, let's take a look at the packaging that this guy comes in, and then we'll move on to the figure itself. So it's a standard affair for the box with this one. It's exactly what we've become accustomed to over the last few years now. Black Series logo at the top, dull gold colour for the Mandalorian TV series. That's then translated into the colour of the background, which shows the planet Pagodon. It says the Mandalorian over on the right hand side, and this is figure number 45 in that subline, if you can believe it. As always, mural artwork on the side with the colour across the bottom. That's then repeated on the back of the box, and there's a brief description of the character there for those of you interested. Taking a close-up look at the figure now, just to cover the details and certain elements of the figure. This is a character, of course, that we're all very familiar with at this point, so the design and the aesthetic, different details on display will come as a shock to no one. The first point worthy of note, in my opinion, is the helmet. So whilst this figure reuses a lot of parts from the Glavis ring-wheeled Mandalorian, this figure does something that none of the others have, and the helmet is in a cast silver plastic colour, similar to what we've seen recently on the new Jango Fett figure, instead of being painted silver. Now this will be a point of controversy for many people, I'm sure. For me, I'm quite happy with it. I think the shade of silver is very nice. It being cast in plastic, it gives a nice sheen to it, which is much closer to Beskar, I suppose. It's also got a touch of weathering on it, so Hasbro haven't skimped out on paint here. I think they've just made a few different creative choices for this particular release, especially since this is the only bare silver Beskar on display as a whole, I suppose. There's battle damage here and there, of course, showing silver, but I think casting it in silver plastic was an educated move on Hasbro's part, considering he's not completely silver. So if we have a look at the helmet, I do think the sheen's very nice, as I've said. It's nice and reflective. It certainly does give a nice feel of Beskar in action figure form. Details have not been spared though. As you can see, we've got weathering in the little crevices around the top of the helmet, the brim of the visor, and on the sides there. Very accurate to his appearance at this particular point in the series. If we come down, you can see we've got the iconic Shore Trooper shoulder plate that he starts out with. Lots of beige and brown tones have been used. Any battle damage has been picked out in silver, as you can see, looking very nice. The bandolier has been cast in a dark brown plastic, but then the ammo cylinders for the Ambon Phase pulse rifle have been picked out in silver, which is very nice, along with other details such as small buttons, press studs, and the belt buckle. He's also got his array of detonators on the belt there. Unfortunately, the red centre of those has not been painted, but I can confirm that the first one of those is still removable, as it was on the previous versions of this guy. He's got his early gauntlets as well. These have been cast in a brown plastic. No paint detail as such, but very serviceable. Let's move his arm out the way there, so you can see his holster, which has got his blaster. Legs are nicely detailed. Again, very subtle weathering in terms of the silver damage that's been picked out. Areas could have benefited from certain washes, as we know that is something Hasbro have started to go back to, seen with the Stormtroopers in the Mandalorian and Grogu wave. So it would have been nice to see something like that, but it's not the end of the world, and it does the job. It's got his knee pad there, coming down to the boots. As you can see, relevant details have been picked out in the correct colours. Everything looks very sharp. The dart launchers or the canisters on his knee pad there have unfortunately not been painted silver, but I can overlook that. It's something I wouldn't really expect Hasbro to be doing these days. Unfortunate, especially since silver's been used all over the figure, but never mind. It is what it is. It's a very small misdetail. I'm sure it's not going to be a deal breaker for many people. And then just finishing off, we'll take a look at the cape. This has been done very nice. It's not oversized, which can often be an issue with Black Series soft goods. It's been nicely cut, no frayed edges, and it hangs very naturally across the figure's back and on his shoulders, more importantly. I'm very, very pleased with that. So that about does it for details. We'll now take a look at the accessories that this guy comes with. So taking a look at the accessories that this guy comes with now. Now a Mandalorian figure would be complete without his trusty blaster pistol, right? So you can store that nicely on the holster there on his thigh. Very easy to remove and nicely detailed at that. I believe the sculpt has been carried over from the Glavis Ringworld version once again. It's cast in a gunmetal plastic and the handle has been painted brown to highlight some of that nice wood grain texture. And of course, as any Black Series figure we get these days, it can very easily be placed in his hand for display. Coming down to the leg now, we've also got his vibro knife, which stores in the boot, just like the previous version. That's also cast in a grey plastic, but the handle itself has been highlighted with some dark gunmetal, almost black paint. Not a necessary inclusion, but one that I'm very grateful for. It's nice to see Hasbro going the extra mile, detailing the accessories. And speaking of the vibro knife, the last accessory for this guy is an interchangeable hand, which has been particularly sculpted so that he can hold the knife snugly, obviously without the interference of a trigger finger. Now I'm not going to pop this on the figure itself, as I've tried off camera and it is a little difficult to do so. You might need to dunk it in some hot water or warm it up with a hairdryer just to get it on properly, but because this is an early purchase for this figure and it's not out at full retail yet, I don't want to risk breaking it when I can't replace it. So that seems to cover the accessories for this guy. There is one other thing to cover. It's not an accessory that he comes with, but I know that it's one that a lot of people have wanted to see, and that is of course the Ambon Phase Pulse Rifle. This came with the very first version of the figure, as well as many other releases over the years. This can be attached to his back using that peg there. So if you want to use the accessory from the previous versions, you can do, although this guy doesn't come with it. Running over articulation now very briefly. I have mentioned many times that this is, for the most part, the Glavis Ringworld body for the Mandalorian, although there are a few updates, and those exist within the articulation of the figure. As we've come to expect, there's a ball joint at the top of the neck and at the base of the neck, giving you a great range of motion, especially for a helmeted character. That will allow you to convey some very emotional poses, even though his face is covered. There are ball hinges at the shoulders, along with butterfly joints. The shoulder pads on each side are separate parts that will move around the articulation of the figure and not hindering it in any way. There's ball hinges at the elbows as well, and the gauntlets also do swivel. Now onto one of the first updates, the wrist articulation. We've got the ball joints, or the roly-poly wrists, as a lot of people have taken to calling them. This is of course helpful with the interchangeable hand feature, as it makes that a much smoother transition. So a very nice inclusion, although in my opinion, I think as nice as they are, the previous hinge type joints would have been a little better here, just so you could get this guy pointing his hand up and down a little more, as I feel it's restricted compared to previous versions. But hey, that's just me. Everyone can judge individually on that one. The upper torso there is on a ball joint. The belt and this midsection piece here, it's worth noting that that is a free floating piece, so you can get that out of the way and move it around your poses. The second new point of articulation is unfortunately a frustrating one, as for whatever reason they've made new thighs for this guy. So the thigh swivel that was present on the last time we saw this body is no longer there. It's just got ball joints at the hips, but there is side to side movement of about that much, if you can see that clearly. Unfortunately, when you do turn it to the side, you get to see the gap between the leg and the crotch area. But this is a much further movement than we've been allowed to have on other figures where the thigh swivel has been taken away recently. So I'll take it. It's not too bad. I don't understand why it's an aesthetic choice when it's mostly covered up, and they could have reused the parts from the previous figure. Answers on a postcard, please, if you know. There's a swivel at the knee. There's also a bend. And then, not on this boot, because of the holster for the vibro knife, but over on this leg, the boot or the calf has a built-in rotation. I'm not sure why that's necessary, especially when it's only on one side. A lot of people online have discussed that it's not really an anatomically correct point of articulation, and I see that point. Personally, I'd much rather just have thigh swivel back. He's also got ball hinges at the ankles that have got the pivot joint. Now, if you ask me, as controversial as it was, I would have used the toe articulation on this guy from the recent Boba Fett figure, just because it would have aided in those iconic walking poses, that iconic silhouette that the Mandalorian and all the posters have been known for over the last few years. It's not essential, but it would have just helped a little bit, and it would have been nice to see it used again. But hey, it's a well-articulated figure. It's everything we've come to expect from a modern Black Series release, and overall, I'm very pleased with it. And just before we wrap the video up, for those of you interested in seeing how much the Black Series has progressed since 2019, look no further. Allow this to be the visual representation of that for you. Whilst some details on the original figure weren't brought over to the new one, such as some clasps on the bandolier and a few other details, I think this guy is very, very good and very superior to his now poor-looking cousin over on the left. So that just about does it for another Black Series review, everyone. Thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Maybe for those of you that were on the fence with this release, I've managed to either persuade you to pick this guy up, or maybe you've decided that he's not for you. Whatever your decision, let me know in the comments below. With the Mandalorian and Grogu movie soon to hit cinemas, I'm sure this guy's going to find his way into many collections. Nevertheless, I'm going to be back with some more reviews from the Mandalorian and Grogu very soon. Thank you all for watching as always. Click subscribe if you haven't already. We've made it over 1,000 subscribers now, and I'm very grateful to everyone that's joined me on this journey so far. Likewise, if you're not following me on Instagram already, that's the place to catch up with me. There's going to be HD images of this guy available to look at as soon as this video goes live, as well as many others to come over the next few days. So thank you all once again. I'll catch you in the next video. May the Force be with you always.